Welcome, friends. Happy to have you here for another human design call. I'm Angela. Robyn is with us, and Oaken, sweet chubby cheeks. And we are here to answer any questions you may have about human design. So, floor is yours.
Huh. Well, Robyn, I was supposed to reach out to you about other things,
Yeah.
but I haven't done so
Yeah,
yet.
what
Still
told
trying to
me.
still trying to catch up. I still think that part of it is the nose, because last night I had to take my glasses off because my nose was hurting too much.
Mm.
My dog got me in the nose, like tooth, like full force. I guess it was her tooth, full
Oh,
force, and it just like right there. So
wow.
yeah, black and blue, and it's
Well, it's so interesting. You have this going on here at the top of your nose, and I had like a sty or something that was developing on my eye, and then Oaken punched me. This dude, I don't know how a baby punched me so hard right in the sty, and then my whole eye I mean, you can kind of see it, but my whole eye is like swollen up over here.
yeah. Oh,
And I'm
yeah. Oh,
like, what's up
yeah.
with
And
our
you're like,
eyes?
how did that
Both
happen?
eyes. Yeah. So I don't know, something to pay attention to about our senses, maybe, right?
Something. Be aware of your surroundings better.
I guess that too.
I saw her coming, but I didn't think it was that fast. And I didn't think about her having her mouth open either. And I was weeding. So it was just like this weird
Oh,
moment. Yeah.
yeah.
But it was that spot that it just makes you cry immediately. So I was
Yeah.
just like, and she felt so bad. So, yeah. Aw. So, what is a not self theme?
What is the not self theme? So when you're in your not self, this is when you're not in alignment. And every energy type has a specific emotion that they move into when they're out of alignment. Except this isn't just an emotion for you in that not self, it's a whole state of being that you're moved into. So while you might experience frustration as a projector, it isn't the same as when a generator is feeling frustration in their not self. So sometimes what I've found over the years of being immersed in human design is these words might not resonate with the feeling you have as your not self. For example, as a manifester, your not self is anger. And you might be like, oh, that's not what I feel when I'm out of alignment. I feel frustrated because you've been calling that not self something different than what human design calls it. So it's the feeling that you get when you need to pivot. It's like a red flag. Hey, you're not in alignment. So either you plugged your energy into something that was a no, or you're giving your energy to something that's out of alignment. It could be something as big as a partnership could make you feel into this state of being. A job can make you feel into this state of being, or something as simple as, a yes, no. Like, let's just say you're trying to figure out what to eat with your partner and you're falling into frustration or anger over the process because you're out of alignment with how you're moving through the process. So, as a generator myself, when I feel these moments of frustration, so frustration is the not self of the generator types. If you're a manifesting generator, your not self is angry frustration. It's kind of a morph of the two. And when you're in this state, you need a break. You need to rest. And for the generator types, that's really hard to rest. And a lot of us kick and scream into our rest cycles. And we're like, no, let's keep the flow going. And sometimes get slammed into that frustration. So the frustration for the generator types is very purposeful to let you know you're out of alignment, rest, so that you can see where the shift needs to happen. Sometimes it's as simple as pivoting. If you're frustrated about something as simple as making a decision about what you're going to eat for dinner, and you're getting frustrated with your partner because they keep asking you open-ended questions like, what do you want to eat for dinner? Instead of saying, do you want sushi or do you want barbecue food? You can pivot and say, can you ask me 2 options? I'm getting really frustrated because I don't respond well to open-ended questions and respond better to the yes, no for a generator. I often find myself, if I ignore the frustration, and it will build until I get slammed into my rest cycle, which I call my cocoon. So it's taken a lot of trial and error for me to feel that frustration coming in from a bit further, so I can rest into my cocoon and not get slammed into it. And when I say slammed, I mean like, either for me, I get taken down by a migraine. It's one of the only things that actually stops me in my tracks. Like other types of pains and things like that, I'll just push through. But a migraine, it makes all of my senses too much for me and makes me feel slammed into that cocoon rather than go into my cocoon, get cozy, like wrap myself in a blanket, get a good book, and just know it's okay to rest. In that, frustration will dissipate as I rest, either and have my aha moment, that satisfaction that's on the other side of the frustration. For a projector, your not self is bitterness. And you might call this something different, but most projectors are aware that they can get really bitter. And bitterness is a tricky one because it could be very self-pointed as well. And can be tricky because we can also point this at others and not realize that it's our red flag that we're sitting in that state of not self. So when you're a projector and you catch yourself starting to get bitter, that's your notice that you're out of alignment. It's your red flag that you probably need to rest and unplug your beautiful energy from a bunch of different things that are actually no's for you. Like I said, for the manifester, their not self is anger. And while these all have purposes, they're not something to run from, right? What I'm trying to make the point of is this state of being you're being brought into is to give you information for you to become wiser and use that frustration, that anger, that bitterness to get more into alignment rather than let it take you down the path of being further unaligned. For the reflector, their not self is disappointment. And so it's really just a reminder that you're out of alignment and you have this opportunity to rest and shift, pivot to get back into alignment. So when I feel that frustration, I try to get curious. Frustration is here. Okay. I know a rest cycle's coming up. And part of my frustration is I'm fighting my rest cycle. And what am I actually getting frustrated about? Are these things that don't serve me anymore? Were these no's truly no's that I plugged my energy into that should have been no's, but I said yes to them because I was people pleasing or I wanted to be a part of it all or whatever it is. And some of that clarity comes through the rest period that we all need, and we all need different versions of this rest period. So then your aligned self for you, when you're on the other side of that, will have this, for generators, this satisfaction, this aha moment. For projectors, it's success. You'll feel success on the other side of your bitterness. For manifestors, you'll feel peace on the other side of your anger. For reflectors, when you're feeling that disappointment, you'll have gosh, my brain just went blank on the reflectors. On the other side of their disappointment is
I can pull it up and see.
Yeah, please. It's like reflectors are magical. You probably feel magic on the other side of your disappointment.
Well, and it's with reflectors too. It's amazing understanding. I think what you were also leaning towards is like, it takes different people different amount of times.
And different things will bring you into different periods that state of being lasts for. So if it's a huge thing like your marriage and you're out of alignment and shouldn't be with that person, that's going to take you a lot longer to pivot from that. It's not as simple as like, well, okay, done with you, washing my hands of this and just walking away. That's like a big shift. So if it's something as simple as, like, I said yes to 6 play groups for my kid, what was I thinking? I need to take that down to 2. That's easier to pivot from than huge life commitments that we've made.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
looking.
when you look at that not self theme as just the signal of yourself giving to yourself that you're out of alignment in areas of life, and you could be feeling much better. You could be feeling in the energy that you're meant to be feeling when you're on your aligned path. Just get curious when it happens.
I'm trying to find what the non-self theme is for a.
I can pull it up too if you can't find it.
Disappointment is their non-self.
Yeah.
And signature is surprise. When
Surprise.
they, yeah.
I just used perplexity.
Wonderful.
From the AI
Yes,
call.
yes. So does
yeah.
that help, Sarah, about the not self?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So Luisa Fernanda had written and asked, she just wants to know more about her design. Do you want like an overview, Luisa Fernanda, or do you have specific questions about what's on there? And while you're answering that, Robyn, can you briefly touch on, I was telling Kathy is a projector and her whole family are generators and man gens. Is there like a certain amount of times per week or something that it would be beneficial for her projector body to sleep somewhere else?
Yeah. So I want to also say that I see Kathy ask this question about, is rest always the antidote?
Oh, yeah.
I like Angela's response here. She said that she'd say yes. Being triggered and feeling your not self is a warning sign, like a check engine sign. Let's say that you need to rest, pause, disconnect from whatever you're currently in. So for a projector, yeah, when you're bitter, you definitely need to go into your rest cycle. You're probably pushing forward as if you're a generator, and you don't need to, you don't have to. This is so hard to uncondition yourself from as a non-sacral type. So rest is like, should be so exciting and wonderful for you. You should look forward to your rest times and know that you get to rest so much more than society, your parents, your teachers, your loved ones ever told you you could. You are not lazy. You are not lazy. You are the most efficient of beings when you let yourself rest and relax in between those big bursts of efficiency that you have. So I like how Angela said, it's not just like a rest. You don't just have to go to sleep. It's not just laying there doing nothing. It's just pausing and disconnecting, like calling your energy back. Where have I given all of my energy out to that I'm frazzled, that I'm pulling people along by my coattails? So just coming back to self. And I think Kathy, what profile type are you again? A 4, a 2-4, a 4-2?
2-4.
Yeah. So for you, this is going to be a little bit harder, right? Because you have this polarizing profile type that needs to have alone time for your genius to come out, but also deeply needs to be with your people. So one thing that I love about human design is it's basically this big experimental game you get to play with the universe. So we have played with this a lot with my husband is a projector and we are all generators. And he's a 6-2, so he's got that 2 that needs to be alone a bit more than the other types. And we, for forever, before we had kids, we slept in the same room. And I had a hard time imagining my partner not sleeping in the same room as me. Like, to me, that was very weird. Something's wrong with our marriage if you don't want to be sleeping in the same room as me. When human design came in, I was the one who encouraged us to have this experiment with the universe. Like, let's see what happens if you sleep in the guest bedroom some nights. Let's see if that helps you sleep better, get into deeper meditations, have more clarity and less anxiety, because you're not sleeping in now 4 generators, energy fields all the time. So what we do as a family, because we have littles and we co-sleep, he'll help me get everybody to bed, including myself. We'll all go to sleep together at first. And then when he wakes up for that first time to go to the bathroom or to like shift his body, as long as we're all sleeping, then he'll go down to the room, which is actually right underneath us, just not totally disconnected from us, but then sleep the rest of his night or morning on his own. And this works so much better for him, but it took a lot of adjusting on my part to understand that my partner wasn't doing this because he doesn't want to be with me or sleep with me. It is about what's best for him and his energy, and not something that has to do like personally with like a mental choice that he's making. And it's really made a huge difference for him, especially since we are a co-sleeping family and we've got all these crazy generators in bed with us. So I'd say this is a beautiful conversation to have with your partner of like, let's just like first, let them know, is if this is your truth, that this has nothing to do with, not wanting to be intimate with them in these spaces. Like, and I don't mean just sex. I just mean the intimacy of sleeping with each other and being that close. But like, let's experiment with this. Let's see what this feels like if 2 nights a week I sleep in the other room, and just see if that helps me restore my energy faster so that I can be better for you guys. And play with it though, because you might want like one night might be enough for you to have away in your field. Or you might find like my husband that he does best when it's almost every night, that he's taking some of that time to himself away from us.
Well,
Hopefully
that's helpful. And I mean, I was gonna ask, I mean, I'm sure it like varies, by individual to some degree. Do you find that it's more important to think about this, like having like this consistent time, whether it's like a day away or like, nights, or is it more like look at those like big periods where you're pushing for a long time and make sure you build and rest in between those, or both?
both. I think that this is really powerful to have this be built into your life. Again, we grow up within cultures that say one way is the best way. And to play with this and see what works right for your family. It could even be sleeping in 2 separate beds in the same room is enough to get him out, for you to get out of his aura, enough for you to sleep more soundly. It could be that that's not quite enough, and moving to your own bedroom a couple times a week is what restores you. The rest periods that you go into, these can be week long, they could be months long, they last however long they need to last for, because on the other side of that rest, and this is why I call it a cocoon, because to me, this is truly what it is. You're going into a cocoon, you're molting in resting, and you're changing into the next version of you that you're going to need on the other side of that cocoon. There's going to be a big burst of energy. There's going to be a huge efficiency that comes through for the next like project, the next thing that you're working on. And if you don't rest, then you're not going to be able to come out of your cocoon and your wings spread and be able to fly. If somebody cut you out of your cocoon early, if you were a caterpillar changing into a butterfly, you would not turn into a butterfly. You would either come out like as mush, or if somebody helps a butterfly out of its cocoon, its wings won't open. It needs the whole process to come out, the pressure to be put on it in the cocoon for it to be able to turn fully into the butterfly. These rest periods are mutative in the sense that you're literally are always transforming into the next version of yourself, evolving. And so when I shifted looking at rest periods like this, it's so much easier for me to climb into my cocoon and see it as like a beautiful thing that I'm receiving from. It's not slowing me down. It's not going to make me miss out on things in life. It's going to make me better, because if I rest, then I can be my big, bright, shiny self on the other side rather than half version of myself. So I think they're both very important.
Yeah. And I actually Robyn and my friendship has taken off since she was like, I'm just going into my cocoon. And it sounds so much nicer. It sounds like an invitation rather than, at least to a generator, like, you have to rest. You can't keep going because we're not wired that way. You know, we're like, I'm here to build. I have to keep. So it's just very nice to know that when you start to feel bitter, when things start to irk you, Kathy, or for the rest of us, when we start to get frustrated, it's like, hey, pay attention, and then you get to make a choice and you can lean into whatever feels best for you in that moment. Do you just need Matt to take the kids for a night? Do you need to sleep on your own that night? Do you need to just have a binge day of watching something, whatever it is, but honoring it instead of like, there's so much to do, which is the culture we live in, and
Yeah.
it's okay to let go.
Yeah, I mean, this is just so wild because I think even like 2 years ago, I like realized that I like just pushed and pushed and pushed one thing to the next to the next. And I, you know, identify, I mean, it's a journey, right? But identified and I said, you know what, like in between these big things, like a kid's birthdays or, you know, hosting family or like a trip or camping, like everything just takes so much. I need to like rest. And I need to like identify what that is, but I was like, I'm gonna like, you know, instead of just like instantly like, all right, we're back, unpack next thing. It's like a half day, a few hours, something to help
Yeah.
me restore because I saw myself like burning out and the bitterness, like that really rings true for me, sadly. And I, I don't like it. Like I
Yeah,
don't
I
want to
don't
be
want
that
you
way.
guys who have
Yeah.
anger or bitterness as your not selves to feel bad about that emotion we've been taught is bad. It's not bad.
It's not.
It's not.
Mm.
And so don't feel like guilty that that's what you feel when you get burnt out. It's
Hmm.
purposely designed for you because these are meant to give you information to move you forward. We've just been told that anger is bad. We've just been told that bitterness is horrible. Don't feel bitterness. You're a bad person if you get bitter. It's not like that here in human design. It's a beautiful bit of information that's unique to you and how you need to feel that kind of something that's a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. Like the way frustration feels for a generator feels just like it does for your guys' bitterness. It feels it's so multifaceted. This is why I say it's not just an emotion. This is a whole state of being that you're brought into that carries so much wisdom in it. Like Angela said, when people have told generators just relax, just calm down, just stop. It's like, F you. Don't tell me what to do with my energy. Like I have all this energy. I can do all the things that I want to do. When maybe some of the people were sensing that burnout in us before we sensed it. Now, some people are just saying that because our bigness is intimidating and they want us to stop doing all the things because maybe they're a projector and they don't want to do all the things and they shouldn't be doing all the things. So it's this beautiful, unique way that we start to feel our not selves. When we start to feel these states of beings that are there to be reminders that we're not aligned in certain spaces. So as a projector, having your schedule completely packed all the time is not in alignment for a projector. Even if you're a parent, it's just not the way you're meant to work. You're meant to have these beautiful rest periods. So the invitation here for you is how can you offset some of these responsibilities in parenthood or in your partnership onto somebody else asking for help so that you can have these rest periods? Is there a grandparent who can do some of the, I'm just making this up, like the soccer things, or even, saying like, I know I'm the default parent, but husband, you need to do the soccer because I want that. I'm taking that time for myself. I'm going to have these 3 hours twice a week where I just sit in the backyard and stare at the tree because that's what I deserve to have now. And, or we hire a nanny or, I mean, I know not everybody has the luxury of having extra funds to hire somebody in to help, but this is really important for the non-sacrals to realize that you deserve help, you should have help, and you shouldn't have to do it all on your own.
Even if you like carpool and have different people and just give yourself that break. But Matt is a manifesting generator. So if you delegate, I was telling Kathy, I think for her, because she's a projector and it's so easy to be like, it just has to be done. And she sees the clear path that her default is to do it all and it will burn her out. And so Matt's home right now, and if you share what you need and you share it in a way like this is going to make everyone feel better and like this whole function and let him feel needed, which men appreciate, it will work for everybody. I really do think so. So thank you, Robyn, for all those shares. I want to shift us a little bit. Luisa Fernanda and Sammer are both, Luisa Fernanda is a generator, Sammer is a manifesting generator, and they both have the 1-3 profile. So both have said they need a little general overview of human design. And that is, first off, that there's 5 types. There's 5 designs of people, and it uses your birth information to give you your design. You have these 5 types of people. 60% of the world are generators or manifesting generators, which we are the builders, the creators. We have sacral energy, which means that we have fire and we can go, 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 go. Then there are people like Kathy who are projectors, and the projector's energy is like they hold this vision. They're the lighthouse, or they're the North Star for humanity. And whereas generators can be kind of selfish and very centered on themselves and what their desires are, projectors are the lighthouse for humanity. I know. Projectors are the lighthouse for humanity. And so it can be frustrating for them because they're doing things based on what they see for all of us. And then sometimes projectors are like, no, that doesn't serve me. I'm going to do this way. That can be very challenging for them. We have manifestors, which are here to inform us. And manifestors have this energy of kind of the boss. They don't want to be told what to do because they're here to inform. That's their gift. And then
pave new paths.
To pave new paths. Okay. And then the reflectors are 1% of humanity, and they are, when you look at your chart, you will see these different energy centers. And when they're white, it means that they're open. A reflector has all 9 centers open. So they are literally here to be mirrors and reflect back to people what they need. It's also important to know that it takes them like, and I just shared this with Yano because I was saying, hey, I've been talking to this woman who's in Unity Hub. Just so you know, I just learned she's a reflector, which means if you have a conversation with her about any decision, it will take her a month, or for her design, it should take her a whole lunar month cycle to answer, because she has to really sit in that for a longer period of time. And his response was, oh, that's great, because she was really excited. I messaged her about 2 weeks ago and I haven't heard. I was like, great, give it another 2 weeks. And then, so it's just a matter, the whole idea of human design is you can learn a lot about people from knowing their design as well as yourself and how we relate to each other. So I find it very powerful. Kathy is a friend of mine, and Nicole, and they're both projectors. So once you know someone's design, it's easy to be like, hey, I'm going to trust you to have this vision for me. I'm going to lean into your gifts, and then you can lean into mine. So this is where I see this being such a valuable tool for any community working together. You know who can just get it done, crank it out, who is going to reflect something back to you, who's going to hold the whole higher vision, and who is going to be like, let's take a new pathway. And Luisa said, Kathleen is a manifester. She can, like, when she drops in and she speaks, we all are like, hello, beautiful transmission, because she's here to inform us. She always says, like, I feel you. I see you. And like, she's bringing this new path of us really leaning into each other in that way.
Mm-hmm. And human design is so multifaceted in its many systems built into it. It's many ancient systems and modern systems, including astrology that's built into this, including more modern things like DNA is embedded into this, and how there's 64 gates that come from the 64 I Ching hexagrams, which is ancient, but they have now discovered that these ancient 64 I Ching hexagrams are exactly in line with the 64 pieces of DNA codons. And so this wisdom was given to us to help us to decondition from the somebodies we've been told that we are supposed to be from our parents, our caregivers, our loved ones, to decondition all of this, to step into alignment of who we are truly here to be, and to work together like puzzle pieces with each other. We cannot and are not meant to do everything, all of us want. There's no one person that has like the perfect design. There's no one person that has everything. We're meant to work together. And we're all meant, like Angela said, to play off of each other's amazing abilities. What I lack, Angela has. What Angela has, somebody else doesn't have. And this beautiful way of no one is less perfect than the other. When you can find that alignment and just shine where you're supposed to, and you don't have to do the other things. Like for a projector, it should feel very freeing to know that you do not have to do, go. And in fact, that is not in your alignment to work like that. And you get to have bursts of efficient energy followed by beautiful rest cycles. Should be very freeing. If it doesn't feel freeing, you've got conditioning that you need to unwind yourself from, because maybe you were raised by generators who said you're lazy if you're not doing. You've got to get out there, go and do it. If you have, for example, if you don't have a defined will center, or it's also called the heart center or the ego center, if you're undefined in this space, you don't have consistent access to your willpower, which is like over 65% of the population doesn't have access to their willpower when they want to. It comes and goes when you're connected in with somebody else who gives you definition here. But we all that said, if you want it, you better go get it, clamber to the top, do it yourself, knock everybody down while you're trying to do it. And there's only a small percentage of the population that can access their willpower at all times when they want to, like that. So it's just unraveling ourselves from all of the somebodyness we've been told and finding true alignment within the design that we embodied into.
Beautiful. Yeah. So I would add that on top of your design, there's kind of three main parts of information, even though there's so many more, but kind of three umbrellas. The first is your type. So you are a generator, a manifesting generator, a manifestor, a projector, or a reflector. That's your design. Then you have your profile, which are two numbers. The first number is you at birth. It's your consciousness. The second number is actually you in utero 120 days before you were born. So that's more your subconscious work here. But those two numbers give you a lot of information about yourself, which I will delve into. And then the third part is all the other things, Luisa Fernanda, in your chart, right? The yourself, your not self, your environment, all of those other things. So it can take years to unfold and to work through all the puzzle pieces, but you really have the opportunity to do it as quickly or as fast as you want. So just to welcome Yano, just to give you guys a little bit of the 1-3, I am a 1-3, so I'll say a few things and then Robyn can add in. The 1 profile is the investigator. So we just want to investigate the crap out of something. We figure something out. Samer's into AI. He's going to try all the things. He wants to understand which is the best for what. He's going to dive deep into that. Luisa Fernanda, you've gotten into breath work. You're learning a bunch of different types of breath work. What does it do to the nervous system? You want to have all the information you really want. You are seeking truth. So that is the 1 profile line. And then the 3 is known as the martyr or the experimenter. We have to go through things. We have to try stuff out. So I hosted a retreat this weekend. There was 2 moms and 1 not mom. I'm not doing that again. I need to either have it be all moms or all not moms. I had to go through that. Someone didn't get to tell me that. I just had to experiment because I was like, it'll be fine, whoever shows up. But it didn't work. The energy wasn't right. So now I know. I don't get to beat myself up about it. I just have that piece of wisdom moving forward. So that's a very big overview of those 2 parts. I know, and Robyn, you can elaborate, but from 1 to 6 in the profiles, the 1 through 3 are much more of an internal, like if you imagine a house, the 1 is the basement, the 6 is the sunroof or the roof of the house. The 1 to 3 are more internal, figuring things out. And then the 4s through 6 are more leaders. Like the 4 is the opportunist, the 5 is the heretic, and the 6 is the role model. So they are here really, like Yano and Robyn have a 6 in their chart. They're here with a vision. They're here to help move humanity forward. Matt's a 6, Kathy, right? They have this very unique way that they navigate through these 3 phases of lives, because by 50, they're like, this is what we're going to do, people. This is how we're going to move forward.
Angela, will you let me share my screen really quick? I have a visual of the house that might help people.
Yep. Hold on. Should I just make you host and then you can do it?
Yeah, our co-host. I'm a very visual person, which is why I have these things made. So I think this will maybe help some people to see some of what Anj was just saying. Anj was talking about how there's the lower 3 numbers that are part of this lower trigram. The trigrams have to do with I Ching, which have to do with those 64 hexagrams. The lower numbers are really about interpersonal connections. They're focused on the self, like Anj said, and personal experiences and understanding. So if you're a 1-3, both of your sides of your profile are coming from this deeply personal experiential process that you are here to have. When you have some of these upper numbers, 6, 5, and 4, these are about connections with other people. These are about experiences through connecting with other people. And then Anj gave us this description of the house, which is a beautiful analogy that Ra, the gentleman who channeled this system, gave to us. That again, I find deeply helpful in understanding how these numbers work. I'll make sure that Anj can share these 2 graphics into
Thank you.
Wherever space we're putting this stuff. So you guys have this to look back for. So as a 1-3, since we're talking about that right now, you see like the 1 is here on the bottom. It's on the foundation of the home. This is the foundation that all other parts of the home are built on. So the 1 is, if you think of your house as wisdom rather than a literal house, the 1 is gathering information always. You'll never be satisfied with the amount of information. You're always going to want to learn more and need more information. And that more information you have about that specific topic that you get a hit to go and discover, the safer you feel. Because the information is there on a blanket or creating the foundation of your wisdom. It's very important for you to continuously gather that information and learn. Okay, baby. The 3 is this transitional space, like a spiral staircase moving from the bottom floor to the second floor. So in this, I think of this as like tripping up the stairs and kind of scraping your knee and falling a bit as you're climbing up the stair, because the 3 needs to have these experiences. Like you can't just tell a 3, like, don't trip up the stairs. Don't touch the fire, it'll burn you. They're like, oh, okay, well, now I'm going to touch the fire and see if it burns me. And then I'll you can't tell me, I have to figure it out. Just like Anj had to find this out on her own about having her retreat and finding that she needs to curate things a little differently. So, you know, one of us could have already told her this because we already did a retreat and found this out. It doesn't matter. She has to figure it out herself to integrate and embody that wisdom. What, baby? You want to put him outside?
Thanks, Robyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another thing that I remember from the 1-3 profile is that we're reluctant leaders. We don't want to lead just like, hey, you know, like a role model, for example, who's like, yep, I got this, I'm going to do it. We want to lead kind of side by side. Like, I'm going to show up as a leader in this space, but you guys are with me. Okay, cool. Right? Is that correct?
Yeah. And that 3 as well needs to know that you cannot make mistakes. There are literally no mistakes in your trial and error process, in your search and discovery. It's all lessons that you're gathering to master whatever is lighting you up, whatever that thing is that you're gathering all the information about.
Beautiful. Cassie.
Yeah, quick question. I know I'm still a little fuzzy on the order of the numbers. I know you said something about at conception.
Oh yeah.
And
So
then can you like what does it matter, or what's like the
So there are two columns on your human design chart. The column on your right is you at birth. So that's like your conscious being fully developed. The numbers on the left are when you're still in utero, about 120 days from being born. And because this uses astrology and it's telling you a little bit of a difference of what was happening planetarily while you were still in utero compared to like, you are here, this is your purpose, this is what you're here to bring forth.
Yeah. And you could
so
also
you could be like a 6-2 or a 2-6,
know.
and the one on the right is more like
There's-
stronger or
There's no
current.
such thing as a 2-6. It doesn't work like that for all numbers. There's not like, there's a 4-1 and a 1-4, but there isn't a 2-6. So it's
There's
I
12.
think an easier way to understand what Angela is trying to say, because some of what Angela is saying is like the depths of human design. You don't need to understand where the astrology lies within this to understand human design. Your first number is your conscious self. It's the part of you, you recognize that number more. Then the second number is more of a subconscious underpinning. Hold on, baby. I opened the kitchen for you. Go get it. It's like your heart beating. You know it's there, but you're maybe not aware of it until somebody points it out to you. And so for you being a 2-4, the 2 might be something that you're like, I see myself. Okay, I see that part of me. And the 4 might take a little bit more research to understand or recognize, or just more lived experience. Like if you told a child their unconscious side, their subconscious side of that number, they might not recognize it in themselves without having lived through it more. So if you just break it down to being, for me, I'm a 6-3. So when I found out about being a 6, it made more sense to me than the 3. I guess that's a little bit nuanced because the 6 is a 3 earlier in life. So they both seemed fine to me, but I didn't realize how deeply experiential my process was until this was brought forward to me. And then because people have told me it's wrong in life, the way I move through the world is not right. So in recognizing this as an adult and seeing, no, I am right. I've lived a lot of lifetimes within this life. Like I've literally pivoted so many times in what my career is and what I do. It makes sense now seeing that. I had to go try to be a surgeon. I had to go try to be a nurse. I had to go try and be a nutritionist to then land in the space of being an energy healer, to know this is where I need to be with healing.
Yeah.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
I posted here so you could see the combinations. They aren't a lot, there's not a 1-2. There's not, it's a 1-3, a 1-4. It's almost like if you have what did you call them? The bottom part and the top? But it's
The
either
diagrams,
the what?
the upper trigram and the lower trigram,
Yeah.
the transpersonal and the interpersonal.
Yeah, the transpersonal, interpersonal.
This is where we're seeing a very complicated system that's built inside of human design called I Ching. It is an enormous system that is thousands of years old. And I Ching is one of those systems you can sit with for probably your entire lifetime and continue to unfold it and unfold it and unfold it, because it's very nuanced. It also has very different language that's put into it, language that's a bit more poetic and also gruff at times. So understanding some of the, this is the lower hexagram and the upper, the trigram, the lower trigram, the upper trigram, these things, this is all more deep into human design than what you need to know if you're just using this to navigate through life. But as a projector, you guys need to understand systems in their totality. It's part of your design. So asking these kinds of like deep questions for you might be very needed for you to like take in the whole system. For you guys, and I think I've said this before on a call, Raw used to give deep discounts to projectors because not only do you guys need to know the totality of systems to fully grasp a system, you also can be what he called super slaves. Raw has a little bit of gruff language that he used, but what he means by that is that you can be the most deeply conditioned of all the beings, the projectors. And this is why like he had such a discount for you guys, because you need to decondition yourself. If you're an adult projector, you are conditioned. Unless you grew up in a household that knew human design, you are conditioned to think you're a generator or a manifester. And there's so much freedom here for you to see that you are not either of those, and you don't have to be. And we need you to be the projector that you're here to be. And so when I say deconditioning, and what do we do with this, right? You can look, the first place to start with where you're conditioned are your open centers, the ones that are white, the ones that are not colored in. To look into those centers and see, look into what it means to have this open center. Look into what could have gotten gunked up in there, like a pool filter that gets gunked up. You got to clear it out. So like energy work, you guys have to have energy work done on you, whether you have learned how to do it to yourself or you go to a practitioner. You need to have this help to get that crap out of you and to see like the shining star beings that you guys are here to be. Like Angela says, these lighthouses that are meant to guide humanity. It's a big role that your soul chose to come in as a projector. And like I said, as an adult, not having this information, there's more for you to unravel. And for some projectors, Ra says, they're too deeply conditioned to even come out of it into adulthood. And I mean, if you're on this call, I would imagine that you're not so deeply, conditioned that you can't come out of it. These might be some people in your life that you share human design with. Like my dad is a projector, and when I share it with him at this point in life, it's just, I am who I am, and he acts like a generator. I mean, there is aspects of him that's very projectory that guided me in life, absolutely, decade ago. But now in life, he's really been conditioned by my mom, who's a generator and an out of alignment, like so out of aligned generator. So the both of them are just living in chaos of their unalignment and very set in living in that for the rest of their lives. I think.
I have a question.
Okay.
Speaking as a projector who has worn the 10,000 generator, I can't see what I'm trying to see. The chat won't go away. Oh, now the chat went. I have a massive vision, as many of you know, and have spent my whole life trying to bring it to fruition and bumping into aspects of reality that basically told me it wasn't possible. So then I just was like, all right, fine, whatever. I'll just fucking do it myself. And so like put on my generator cap and have done that for years. And it is 100% exhausting. And I can feel that like it drains my chi, so to speak. But to the point that you're currently making is like, and maybe this is the masculine aspect of my brain, but like the hesitancy towards stepping out of the conditioned reality that I have to act like a generator is rooted in the lack of empirical data to support the fact that I can do less and accomplish more. So like all of the empirical data that I have at my disposal is like, well, when you do shit happens.
Yeah.
And so then like as a projector, like I resonate deeply and profoundly in my heart and soul with the idea that like I am best when I sleep for 10 hours a night, go to the gym for 3 hours a day, and then use the rest of the 10 hours to like empower other people to be generators. Right. But I don't actually have any empirical data in my life thus far that says like that is your highest position of service. Right. So then there's like this chasm, this gap between operating that way and the way that I have always operated, that it is at least for me as a projector, I'm like, how the fuck do you even cross that gap?
I think this is where the great experiment comes in, which should be a bit easier for you as a 6 because you're meant to be experimenting. And this is where you become an N1 experiment of your own and see like what happens. I know for a fact that you have several generators around you right now who are ready to hit the ground running for you. Okay? So maybe now is this divine time to play with this and see what happens if I delegate some things to these generators who have showed up around me, who are seeing my vision, who want to be a part of my vision. What happens if I offset 2 hours of work I normally do onto these beings and just play with this? Let's just see, while also providing them guidance from a space that's effortless and easy for you as a projector, especially a 6/2 projector, and play with this and have fun. Because I get this from a different point of view of finding out I'm a generator and I need to wait for the universe to bring me in something to respond to. Like, wait, excuse me, I have ideas that I need to get out. What am I waiting for? But when I started playing with this and seeing that the universe is at every moment bringing me things to respond to, micro responses, sometimes big responses. And if those micro responses, things coming in like Anj saying, hey, do you want to do these calls with me? Yes, that feels like a yes. Okay, there's a little thing. My husband, hey, do you want tacos for dinner? Yes, I do. And saying only yes to these things that are coming in that are yeses, huge, amazing things started to be magnetized into my field that were like, I wouldn't have believed it until I started playing with this and seeing, do more aligned things come into my life when I play with my design and step into what my design says for me to do.
Feels great. I love it. Yeah, start exploring, I guess. One baby step after the next
Yes, be
is what you're
curious.
saying. How you
Yes,
cross
one
the
baby
chasm.
step. Yeah, so you're not gonna, I mean, clearly you're not gonna just drop everything in your life. It's like I said, having an N1 experiment and really seeing like, how can you step into this and take those aligned steps into it to see how this works. Does this feel good? Does that feel good? And for you as a projector to, look into your open centers, well, all of us need to look into our open centers to see what we can decondition ourselves from. Where, for example, an open center that I have, what, baby? Yeah, go get it. An open center I have is my head center. And I think somebody asked about this. So I'll say this because I think this will maybe answer that question. When you have an open head center, and if you have a completely open head center like me, meaning you have no gates defined, none of those numbers are colored in. Your brain works differently than other people's. So school might have been challenging for you. That doesn't mean you weren't good at it. I got good grades, but I had to figure out insane ways to study and to remember things that seemingly my other counterparts in school didn't have to. What is it, baby? Go to the kitchen and get what you want. It's open. Sorry, guys. Toddlerhood. And so for a long time, I thought I had this idea that I wasn't smart and that also I could hear other people's thoughts and at times didn't understand that they weren't my low vibing thoughts. Like you're like an antenna and absorbing in people's information that comes from their defined centers here. So I often had these flare gifts when I was younger that I was told I wasn't right, or people get upset at me that I seemingly was in their head. I would hear them saying things like frustrated about me, and I would say something back to them like, I'm sorry I did that, or please don't be mad at me over this. Like when I was little, like my parents being frustrated with me, and they did not like that I somehow knew what they were thinking. But I had no context to this. This is just how I worked, right? And if we were taught how our open head centers worked, then we would have been taught school completely different. You would have been taught how to drop in to the universe, to the Akashic records, and pull whatever information you needed for a test into your head, because you didn't need to study. Atlas, please go to the kitchen and get what you need. You wouldn't need to study the same way that somebody with a defined head center, which school is built around being more of a defined head center, would be. So you might have been told you were crazy. You might have been told you're not smart. And these are the things that you decondition yourself from, and recognizing that you are smart and you're not crazy, and get kind of that energy out of that headspace.
Beautiful. I just want to add to an example. So Luisa Fernanda, you have an open head center, and this is my human design. So you can see up here in my head center, I have 2 channels or 2 gates on mine. So when you and I are together, and this is the beautiful thing about knowing human design in partnerships or where you're working, when you and I are together, I'm able to, maybe you have a bunch of ideas, but because mine is defined, you're able to tap into that more grounded energy and realize, like, these are the things that light me up and not these. And that's where it can be really beneficial. This is another very cool thing in relationships. Like when I look at my chart here, let's say like on this one right here, do you see how I only have half of it? My husband has the other half. So together we complete that channel, which means that energetically that's something that we can bring forth or share. And that happens with anyone. So if we were to have everybody's human designs here, of course, and this is like why Unity Hub, it all makes sense to come together in community when there are more of us. Bye, Yano. When there are more of us filling in all of these channels, like we're more impactful as a community than we are individually, because we're able to define certain people's open centers. We're able to close and fill people's channels when we're together. And it just makes everything that we're doing that much more impactful and that much easier for all of us. Because it's not draining us, we're amplifying as we plug in and fill up, let's say, like a full human design chart. Does that make sense?
You always make sense.
Yeah, forgot it. I keep telling people that made so much sense. I meant to say, do you like that? Isn't that amazing? Thank you. Is there any math that can be done to find the opposite side of the human design? What do you mean?
I mean, like what you just shared about your having your channels open. Can I find, is there any math can be done, like a date of birth or calculation, to find the perfect match that fill all the open channels on the
That
other
actually
side?
isn't the perfect match for you. You don't want, having everything defined together doesn't actually make you a perfect match. So you will find people who you're meant to be connected to. There's like a zing that happens, a connection when you have one side of a gate defined, or one side of a channel. So let's just say you have gate 18 and the other side of that is gate 58. When you have 2 people who have either side of that channel, you will be literally magnetized together. There's a pull to complete that channel. Now, if somebody has the whole channel, that happens, but there's a dominance there of that person who had the whole channel versus one side. This is where you get into more of the nuances of human design. So just because somebody has the spaces that you're not defined does not mean that they're a good match for you. In fact, that could have a lot of contention because you could not understand each other. For example, somebody who has a defined G center, that's the center that's in the middle of the chart. This is their identity center. Somebody who has this defined often has a really hard time understanding somebody who has this undefined. And it takes effort to understand the other person, because these people who have that center defined, they just know who they are. The people who have this undefined are not meant to have one identity. They are meant to be fluid and chameleon-like and be able to taste all of the different possibilities of their identity and settle more in their identity being like Christ conscious love that they're putting out versus some solid identity. So for somebody who's like, I know who the fuck I am, why can't you figure that out? It can be very frustrating. So it's not always best to find the exact mirror of you, but to listen to your authority. Your authority in your human design chart is how you make your best decisions. So when for you in your chart, it's emotional authority. So when you're in alignment, you're listening to your strategy and your authority. I think you're a manifesting generator.
Yes.
And so your strategy is to wait and respond for what the universe brings in for you. And for your very inner circle, you can inform them before you initiate little paths. But you're not half manifester and half generator. That's not how it works. You're a generator. If you're a manifesting generator, you are a generator type. So for you, you need to be most in alignment. You are responding to things that are just yeses. So when the universe brings you in something, for example, you get an email saying, hey, do you want to be on this podcast with me? For you, because you have emotional authority and are a generator, you might feel an initial yes or no in your gut, and then you're going to be brought on your emotional wave. Now, your emotional wave, hold on, Bubba.
I call it the roller coaster.
There's 3 different types of waves. So I'd have to look at your chart to see which types of waves you have. So you, in order to make the best, most aligned decision, you need to move through the wave of emotions. And this is also mutative in the sense that this is a higher version of humanity who moves through their emotions to make decisions. So you will move through the highs of highs, the lows of lows, and only are meant to make your decision once you land on that solid beach in neutrality of feeling like, what did it feel like to say yes to this podcast when I was like lit up and I'm like, yeah, I always wanted to be on a podcast, and all the way down to like, what if I stumble on my words? What do people think I'm an idiot? Like, what am I thinking? I shouldn't be on this podcast, until you land in neutrality. And then your sacral will go again and you'll feel a yes, no. And to make that aligned decision, you go with what your sacral says, not at the beginning of that wave, but once you've moved through all of the emotions. So for you, it's best to, when you're meeting somebody and in partnership, give yourself time to feel through if that person is a right connection or not. And honor what's on the other side of that. Or even when you're making a decision, give yourself 3 to 5 business days before actually making that decision for it to be more aligned.
Robyn, I know that the 3 waves are related to the emotional authority, correct?
Yes.
And the first one is the tick, tick, boom.
Yes.
And what are the other 2?
The other one, and these, so they have many, you'll see many names for these. The names that I have given them are easy for people to remember and for them to connect with. So the tick, tick, boom wave is exactly how it sounds. You get ticked up in whatever your not self is. So let's just say you're a generator, it's frustration. You get frustrated, frustrated, frustrated until that energy needs to explode out of you, which is the boom. And it will explode out in a boom. And for you, then it feels so much better because that energy is out of your body and you're on to the next thing. But it does cause chaos around you. So those of you with emotional authority have to take radical responsibility of your emotions because you are the creator of a lot of the emotions that we all are moving through. For those with emotional authority, you experience emotions from within. They come from within and they're purposely moving you and driving you forward. For those of us without emotional authority, we're called non-emotional beings, which doesn't mean we're not emotional. It's just what we're called. We are brought an emotion that then moves through us like a hollow bamboo stick, or it's supposed to. And that moves through us from outside of us, where you guys are creating the emotions from inside of you to move through your thing. So the other 2 types of waves, one is the melancholy wave. So this melancholy wave can be long. This melancholy is probably the hardest one. And I think we've probably lost a lot of people to suicide because of this, because it can last for such a long time and you can feel like it can never end. And the melancholy that you're brought into you can't get out of it until she's done. And I like to look at melancholy like a wise woman. She is asking you to sit with her because she has wisdom that you need to get, that you can only get from the depths of the emotional spectrum. And once you sit with her, you'll come out of that wave faster than if you try to fight her or give her pills to go away or think there's something you can do besides just be with her and accept the wisdom that she has for you. You're a very special being if you have this type of emotional authority, this wave. You're meant to feel into the depths of what humans can feel and then channel that into art, into creation, into something on the other side of this. And then the other one is the disappointment wave. This is the one that can feel more like a roller coaster. This is where you build up your expectations about something. And then when it doesn't happen, the whole world comes crashing out from underneath you. So this best example I can give is like when you're a kid and you overhear your parents talking about Disneyland. And you're like, oh man, we're going to Disneyland. And I heard them say something about tomorrow. So you go upstairs and you pack your little bag and you excitedly go to sleep and you wake up in the morning, run downstairs with your bag and you're like, when are we leaving for Disneyland? And your parents are like, what? Oh, we were just talking about how Susie's family went to Disneyland and maybe we should do that someday. And for you, the whole ground falls out from underneath you and you're put from like, if you're in the top of your wave, you're immediately brought down into the bottom of the wave. It isn't a gradual fall. The floor drops out from underneath you. You're on a roller coaster, boom, you're down. So for you, it's really powerful to learn to not let your expectations build up, but to sit into a space of wonder all the time rather than holding on to those expectations like fact. And you won't fall as far when you do that. And all of these waves are, like I said, they're mutative. They're part of the evolution of human design, and more people will be born with emotional authority, especially on the other side of 2027, which is like a special benchmark in human design. And this you can also look at as every time you're brought on an emotional wave, it's because this decision that you're making is here to transform you into the next version of yourself. And on the other side of this wave, which is more like a contraction, but Ra was a man and I don't think he connected these things with what he was being told. On the other side of a contraction, if you're birthing a baby, is a new life, is a new rebirthed version of you. So this is why your waves are so important, to honor them and not fight them and try to get them to go away. Because on the other side of that is a transformed version of you. Okay, go eat your toast, baby. And the only wave that has like a way out of it is the tick, tick, boom wave. The other ones you have to move through. Once it's been set off, you will move through it. With the tick, tick, boom wave, baby, crawl underneath. You can fit if you crawl underneath. This little one behind me has the tick, tick, boom wave. And if I'm not careful, he'll explode his energy out. Atlas, I can't scoop a chair more. You have to go that way. There you go. So when you have the tick, tick, boom wave, there are two ways out. That is with physical touch. As I just did with my child, I squeezed his shoulder a little bit. As I was showing him, he could turn his body to get past me with the chair. Instead, if I hadn't shown him that, I used both of the ways. It's touch and having an aha moment. So I gave him a somatic squeeze on his shoulder and showed him if he turns his body, he could easily get behind me with the chair, instead of getting so frustrated that he couldn't move past the chair, that he would tick up in frustration, tick up, and then explode with a tantrum. He's 3, so it comes out like a tantrum. Though I think it comes out in a tantrum for all of you, no matter how old you are. That's how it feels to us. So this is powerful if you have the tick, tick, boom wave, which seems to me, in my experience, to be the most common one that people are given. And this, you can squeeze yourself I don't have my other arm free, but if you do a somatic squeeze on your body and just hold yourself, when you start to feel yourself ticking up, that can diffuse you. You can help yourself diffuse, or get curious. Ah, here's frustration, or here's bitterness. I'm in my not self. So I can feel that I'm going to tick up, to need to explode this energy out. And if you find that aha, like I just found for Atlas, oh, I can, if I turn my body, I can get through and go where I'm trying to go. I don't need to explode this energy out. Instead, it kind of sizzles out and down in a more productive manner for everyone, even those around you. Because like I said, when you guys are done with your waves, you feel better, but you can leave a lot of chaos around you. And this is where you take radical responsibility in helping the people around you understand that you have emotional authority, so they can have grace and patience for you, because it's not a bad thing. It's just you work differently. And so if you're aware that you have the tick, tick, boom wave and you just exploded and you're like, oh, I feel so much better, let's go on with the day. But your partner is now frazzled because you just yelled at them, or you just, projected your voice really big, and now it's stuck in their nervous system. You can have grace for that person, that they now have to kind of clean up that chaos, and you can help them with that instead of just being oblivious to it and acting like, because you feel better, everybody should feel better around you now. So it's powerful stuff to know if you have emotional authority.
There are 3 1-3s in my house with emotional authority.
I just was saying that my friend who was over yesterday, everybody, 3 of them are manifesting generators with emotional authority. And I was like, and she's a projector. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it. After you guys are here for a couple of hours, I'm like, okay, enough.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I posted in the chat, but my question is, can you flow between the different waves depending on the situation? Like, do people condition themselves to have a different response based on, or not really?
I have only known 2 people in the years of doing human design readings that have all 3 waves defined themselves. 2 people. One's a baby and one's a grown-up. And I'll say that they probably have it the hardest because there's like always a wave going off. There's always something that's been set off. So they're like constantly in different waves. So not only is that challenging for them, it's also challenging to be in a friendship or a partnership with a person like this. So having human design is like everything for that type of connection with that person. It's not ordinary that people have all 3 waves or even 2 waves. What happens though is that if you have a family, you can be connecting in with each other and defining channels that give you another emotional wave. So if you have emotional authority and somebody in your family has the other side of a hanging gate, meaning you have one side of a gate coming out of your emotional solar plexus, and your family member has one coming from the will center, the throat center, then they will be brought into having that additional wave to move their emotions through. So this is where like the family dynamics of human design, or the like 2 people together in a human design like compilation chart can come in to understand those better. Yeah, Louisa, your waves, you will see in the chart. You have to look at what channels you have coming off of the emotional solar plexus, and then I'll share with
Her chart is up here. If you can you tell her based on her chart? It's up closer to the top. I can share my screen and put it. Oh no, you're the host.
Louisa, you do not have emotional authority.
Oh, I have emotional authority. I can show you mine. Hold on.
So Louisa, your emotional solar plexus is white. So you do not have emotional authority. In fact, I think you have.
So here's mine, Robyn.
You have sacral authority, but you also have your spleen defined. So you kind of get 2 authorities here. Yeah. So
I have emotional authority.
yeah. So for you, Louisa, you'll feel a yes, no response in your gut. That's what you should pay most attention to, is your authority. But sometimes you'll get big downloads that then kick off a yes, no in your gut. That comes through your spleen being defined. This might, for me, because I'm the same as you here, I'll get big downloads and they're like in pieces that come to me like over years that I gather these hits that I don't have. There's no language around why it is truth. You just know it to be true when it comes through the spleen. It's just intuitive. There is no logic behind it. It is just true or not true for you. And if you follow that combined with your sacral authority, it will really guide you strongly, because your sacral authority is not wrong either. When you get to know your yes and no that come from your gut as a generator, any generator type, even if you have emotional authority along with this, it's very important for you to understand your yes, no feeling in your gut and to follow the yeses. And if it's not a yes, it's not a yes. There is not an in between. There's not a, oh, maybe. It's just a no then. And then this is where you get to play with the universe. And when something comes in, like maybe you've like always wanted to be on a podcast, but somebody asks you to be on their podcast, and for whatever reason, it's a no. And you're like, oh man, what? I wanted to be on a podcast. Why am I feeling no? That's disappointing. But like, I'm playing this game with the universe. So, okay, it's a no. But then 3 weeks later, like Joe Rogan, the person that you've always wanted to be on his podcast, reaches out to you for the same date of podcast that you would have already been set doing with somebody else. And then like, that's why you need to say no to the things that are no's, because there are better, more aligned opportunities out there for you that you will magnetize in the more you save your energy for the yeses. And don't keep yourself scattered into all these no's, people pleasing, and, you know, just overextending yourself.
Okay, Sarah asked about the triple split definition. I think Samer has that. I'm not sure about Louisa Fit, and then I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah. So your definition here, single, split, triple, quad, is all about how the energy flows through your chart. So if you're looking at your chart, I'm just going to pull Louisa's up here. If you're looking at your chart and you're put up like your finger or your cursor or your pencil on, pick one defined center, one colored in center. And if you can take yourself, yeah, so at this top left-hand one, the single definition, if you can draw without picking your finger up, you can go from one defined center through a channel into another defined center into a channel and take them all the way around. And you never have to pick your finger up. You have single definition. And that means that you don't need another human to complete any of those circuits. So you'll have an air about you that, like, you could go live in the middle of the woods by yourself. I don't really need people, but you absolutely do need people. But there's this feeling inside of you because you don't need any help to move that energy. When you're split, you have two separate spaces of energy. When you're triple split, you have 3 distinct chunks of energy. And then the quad is 4. So when you're a split definition, you'll have this yearning for the other side of you to come in. You're somebody who knows you need to be in partnership with others, who feels like you can work better when you connect in with others. When you have a triple split, you're kind of both. There's times where you feel like you want to work more like you're a single definition. And there's times where you need 2 people to connect in with, where being in community is stronger for you when it's not just one other person, but several people who are completing this circuitry in your chart. So it all flows better. And then the same with the quad. The quad is much more rare.
Would the quad have, you said the split likes 1 other person, the triple likes 2 other, would the quad like 3 other, ideally?
Yes, and it gets a little bit more complicated with those. It's more of just, if you look at this, like the single definition is here to learn how to be in partnership with others, because it doesn't come naturally to you. You really feel like you work best on your own, but you don't. Like, humans aren't meant to work alone, but you can flow your energy well. There's no break there. So that's where it's coming from, this feeling of like, I don't need another person. And so the others, then they need other people to be connecting them to complete their energy, to complete that circuit so it flows best without having these stops, it breaks in between its defined centers. I feel like that's just like the easiest distinction there.
Yes.
Very
Beautiful.
cool.
All right.
Now I know I want to go sit in the woods by myself and not.
Yeah.
deal
Just like
with
my husband is single. My husband's single and I'm split. And this has been something that's been a point of contention, like our whole relationship. We've been together for 17 years. And there's always this, he would say to me over and over again, like, you're awesome, just you know that, right? Like, just you are awesome and you don't need me and we don't need to be us. I am me and you are you. And I'm like, I never understood this. It hurt my heart so much. And now having human design, it's given me so much grace for what he was trying to say to me. And he's trying to express his single definition. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why you feel like you need somebody else. Like, you don't need Angela to do Healy with. You don't need somebody to do human design with you. But he didn't understand that actually, yes, I do need to be in partnership with people to flow my energy best. It makes me feel safest. It makes me feel most grounded. And if you are in a partnership, if you're single and you're in a partnership with somebody who's split and you choosing to still be in that partnership, like my husband and I are, there's deep wisdom in there that the split definition has to give you, because you truly do need other people to be your best self. And clearly, Sarah, you've discovered this with being within communities that you do need other people. And it's okay to have that sureness. It's like a rod up your guys' spine of just like sureness of you don't need other people to flow that energy. And if you're able to,
very nice.
if
But
you're
it's
able,
very nice. It's nice to have.
I think so. It's something that I admire in my husband. I never understood in him, and now can see like it must feel really nice to feel that on your own and not have to connect in with others to feel that assuredness. But a beautiful invitation for you, if you are in a partnership with a split definition, to see just how vitally important relationships, especially those intimate relationships, can be and what they can bring to you. Because it would be sad if you guys did all go live in the woods by yourself. It would be even sad for you guys. You'd miss out on a lot of what humanity has to offer.
Well, I probably wouldn't do it without my triple split dude. So.
I love it.
No, and yeah. I also have a single definition husband. So I'm like, I would just rather sit down and do the calendars together. And he's like, I could just send you a message and it would be done. Why do we need to do that? You know, can we feel better? Well,
So
thank
does it mean that I should be like giving him more praise or anything like that? Or, I mean, how, as a single definition person who, because he's always like telling me, you know, what a wonderful person I am and how beautiful I am and all the things, right? Because I guess it's that emotional solar plexus part, I guess. So, but I don't know.
need that. You're like, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I need to do that to him more.
Would reflect it back to him more. It would feel really good for him. I say that to Jeff sometimes. I'm like, you meant to tell me I look beautiful, right? Because I like showered and dressed up for our date. And he's like, yeah, I mean, obviously you should.
Oh my God, that's Glenn too. Like, of course, I think that. No, like say it more. Yeah, definitely say the things that to you are obvious. Yeah, say the things that to you don't need other people to tell you. It's like when you know the 5 love languages and your partner has like a completely different love language than you. Like my husband likes gifts and I could care less.
Oh my God, that'd be so.
I forget. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like I had to buy him something for his birthday because he will not feel loved and seen if I don't get him a gift. And to me, it's so stupid because all I want is you to tell me that you love me and like give me a hug. And that's all I need. And I mean, like flowers are great and a present is nice, but that's not where my mind goes. So if you think of it from that same point of view, that like you might not need to be told you're beautiful, you're magnificent, look how strong you are, I love your cooking, these types of things. It can be really powerful to be seen by you in how you say that to him.
Maybe it'd be helpful my
I
brain.
try really hard.
Well, yeah, it could almost like, you could take his compliments to you, receive it, and then be like, okay, time for me to give something,
Yeah.
and not in that moment say thank you, but then that night when you're getting into bed, just say, I really love blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Well, and he texted me something cute the other day, and so I texted him back that, he said something about, I will protect you, I will love and protect you forever. And I said, I will love and feed you forever.
I love it. I love
Beautiful. Well, thank you all for joining. You're welcome,
Yeah.
Summer.
I
And
like Summer's idea for next time of talking about the dynamics between like the relationships between like how powerful it can be for a generator to work with a manifester to work with a reflector, and how we all come together to work. 'Cause that's a really juicy conversation. I like that.
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
You gave her something to respond to, Summer.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you guys
friends.
for coming today. This is always so fun for Anj and I to just, it helps us to embody our wisdom of human design to be in response like this with you guys. So thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to embody this wisdom here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving your time to let us learn too. We really appreciate it.
Summer, go ahead, bud.
Just quick class note, when's gonna be the next call?
This is every other Tuesday is human design. And then next Tuesday will be Healy. So we do on Tuesdays, we either do human design, Healy, human design, Healy, human design, Healy.
Okay.
And then
And-
Wednesdays and Fridays.
Wednesday and Friday is
No calls.
like a
Correct.
magic portal. I just opened this same Zoom link and we all are like this, but everyone's doing work on their own stuff. And I play music and we do a little dance break but we just are working in community. So if this 1 o'clock time works for you, Wednesday and Friday, you just come and do your own work and be with people.
What time is it there?
Friday,
I think
Right now,
9:30.
9:30 for Samar. He's in Lebanon. So Robyn, Samar starts 333 at 3:33 p.m. in Lebanon.
AM.
No, PM.
PM.
No,
Yeah.
oh,
And I noticed I got the Sunday meditation of a Human Value Collective on 3 a.m. So I got it on both sides of the day.
oh my gosh, I love that. That's so cool. I love how everybody is like all around the world connecting too. It's awesome.
So cool. And I love the mergence of meditation, Healy, Unity Hub. We're all like, okay, here's our pod. Here we go. We're going to bring it forth. We're going to bring it forth. The
Right.
generators are stepping in to
Maybe
help
I
you
hear
out.
you.
'Cause
Mommy finishing.
Egil, Samar, myself, Luisa Fernanda are all manifesting our generators around Yano. So I'm like, I'm going to get you people. Let's go. And Robyn, I'm like, let's go. So he can just sit up on his eagle's nest and tell us what to do.
Exactly.
Oh, Luisa Fernanda is asking you a quick question, Samar. Are you safe?
She saw something on the news and she wants to make sure you're safe.
What's
Well,
happening?
for now we are. We're being striked hard from the Israeli side. Yesterday we had a complete shutdown. No electricity, no internet. A lot of people evacuated their areas. We still safe so far until the current moment. We're not so far from the boomings area. We're like 5 to 8 miles away. So we can hear them. Sometimes it gets so smoky, but so far so good. We're still alive.
Well, we're
Just
putting a
pray.
protective light around you and praying.
Yeah, pray for us, pray for the people in my country. And
Yeah.
hopefully this time will over soon.
All right, friends.
Love you.
Love you all. Thank you for joining. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just hang out every day, multiple times a day. Okay.
It works beautifully. There's evidently something about our human design that is, or our astrology or something that has brought us all together. So some soul line has, because yes, we have connected and really, well, thank you to Anj, really kind of like keeps weaving the web.
You're gonna weave. All right. Have a great rest of your day, evening. Bye.